The aviation industry plays a critical role in the economy of every country in the world. In South Africa, like everywhere else around the globe, the sector has been severely affected by COVID-19. Joining me now to discuss the current and longer-term prospects for aviation is James Geldenhuys of Nedbank CIB. James, thanks very much for joining us. Aviation is a global industry enabling the movement of people and goods, further enabling economic activity. Can you give us a few examples of this?
Yes, aviation is a very, very important part of our everyday life. I think, if you really think about it, it's the only rapid worldwide transportation network. Something that we're not aware of daily is the impact of that and the benefits of aviation. So ICAO has brought out a report in 2019 about the benefits of aviation just before pre-COVID. And quite interestingly, just to put it into perspective, we're talking about the 2018 numbers was 4.3 billion passengers being transferred or flown, 38 million scheduled commercial flights. It's mind-boggling. 58 million tons of freight, which we've now seen with the pandemic when the airlines were grounded. We saw freight becoming a problem because a lot of belly space, which was part of the commercial flights, disappeared. All of that was about 54 billion kilometers, 85 billion hours. The pilots were really busy, and all of a sudden there's no flights. So the big important part of it is that there's about 65.5 million jobs that's being supported according to ICAO from the aviation side, and the economic impact or the benefit from aviation is about $2.7 trillion. So you can start to see the picture now, how it's coming together. And aviation is absolutely a major contributor to economic prosperity.
So aviation is an interesting yet critical industry. What impact did the COVID-19 crisis have on the industry from a global perspective?
So I think we often stand back and we think, wow, did this really happen? And I think we're all settling in our home offices, and we're all working, and we're not driving to the office, and we're not flying to see our clients. But if you step back and you look at the numbers, at the depth of the crisis in April 2020, there was a 66% drop in the world's commercial air transport, as 66% of the fleet was grounded. We've seen that in our own country as well, and I mean, we can talk about that a little bit later. 1 million jobs just disappeared overnight. That's shocking if you think about it. Just 1 million jobs just disappeared. Governments tried to reorganize and assist aviation, and they did what they could in all forms of support, but the impact was absolutely real. So we mentioned the 4.3 billion passengers in 2018. So IATA, on the other hand, reported that for 2020, only 1.8 billion passengers actually flew, as opposed to the 2019 4.5 and the 2018 4.3. That's a 60% drop in passengers. So I'm not even going to talk about in the same breath, the passenger kilometers, the revenue kilometers has dropped. So passenger demand has dropped by about almost 80%, 75%, and that's on the international side of things. On the domestic side, where it was less impacted by the closing of borders, it dropped by as much as 48.8. That's still a huge number. So the connectivity declined tremendously. And I mean, we all know, we're all yearning to go see our friends and our family, and obviously we realize that we need to go on our business trips, because as much as we can Zoom and team and video call, we need that personal contact. We need that informal conversation, which actually cements the relationship, to get the deal done and to give our friends and family a hug. So the impact was the biggest since 1950, when they started tracking these things. So I think we must remember this as a year that we don't want to remember.
James, where do you see the future of air travel with this scenario? It looks like there's some activity going in with vaccinations, things perhaps falling in line, but give us an optimistic look. Certainly, we all want to fly again. We all want to see our friends, our families. What's the outlook for air travel in the sort of medium and maybe longer term?
It is safe to fly. It's safer to fly than to stand on your pavement or go to the supermarket. I'm not going to say that again. It's well publicized. I think passengers will return. We have now seen, after airlines such as Comair and Lyft taking capacity out of the market on a temporary basis, now back in the air again. They report good sales. They report that the planes are full again. Now that we come out of this, people really, really want and people really, really need to fly. So I think there will be, to some extent, there will be some Zoom calls and things like that. But I think even things like conferences where you can do that, and training, you can do that easily on video. I think it's important for that human contact. So we expect it to pick up. We certainly expect aviation to really get back into action towards the end of next year. I think it will be a gradual approach as we find our way, how we deal with the new normal, how we deal with the COVID tests before getting on and off the planes, how they're going to deal with this whole vaccination passport. But I think there's a good take-up of the vaccinations. And if there's a good take-up of the vaccinations, then hopefully the impact of COVID will be less and everybody will relax and we can go visit whoever we need to visit.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, James Geldenhuys of Nedbank CIB. Thanks for joining us. Those insights on the aviation industry brought to you by Nedbank CIB on the future of business. Thanks for joining us.